What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder. I'm Warren Thompson, and today we have some huge news about the upcoming Fantastic Four movie that is going to be making its way to the MCU in a couple of years. Hopefully, nothing gets delayed, and we do indeed get it in 2025. Now, today we have some insight on why the Fantastic Four movie got delayed in the first place, and some news from some insiders telling us a little bit about the plot of the movie. And I must say, it's a really cool plot point that I enjoy, and this goes along with Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, stating that this isn't going to be a traditional Fantastic Four origin story. We know how Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige like to do this. They sometimes don't like to play the traditional origin story game with new characters they are introducing to the MCU. Spider-Man Homecoming was the perfect example. We didn't see the spider bite, we didn't see Peter Parker get his powers, he simply already had his powers when we met him. This will be the same for the Fantastic Four. We also have some casting updates today, which I know everybody is really excited about, figuring out who is going to play Sue Storm, Reed Richards, Ben Grimm, and Johnny Storm. And if you love the Fantastic Four and want to stay up to date on them and the MCU in general, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We talk about Marvel almost every single day. And if you subscribe and comment, it also enters you in our giveaway. We are giving away an Xbox Series X, a PS5, some Marvel Legends stuff, and some DC memorabilia as well each month. So, who will be our Marvel's first family? Well, according to some insiders, they have been cast. At least Sue Storm and Reed Richards, the Invisible Woman, and Mr. Fantastic. Now, the Fantastic Four movie was delayed because Marvel is making kind of a shift in their entire schedule. Most of you probably know that Kevin Feige and Disney CEO Bob Iger have stated that they are going to cut back on their output and focus on quality over quantity. And that's exactly what is happening with the Fantastic Four, and this is incredible news. In fact, if you haven't heard, Marvel Studios has recently gotten a new writer for the Fantastic Four movie. So needless to say, no, the script is not complete yet. But not only is the Fantastic Four MCU movie Kevin Feige's baby, his passion project, but on top of that, Marvel Studios is putting a lot more care into their future projects. This is why the Fantastic Four got delayed in the first place and why it might actually be delayed again. But the fact that they got a new writer for the film is great news. And it seemingly kind of changes how the film is actually going to be tonally. It kind of looks like Marvel Studios has learned from some audiences that we don't want rapid fire jokes every single minute, and that we do want them to take their time and establish deep emotional connections with us and the characters they are showing us, and that connection between the characters that we are seeing on screen as well. Now, originally, the Fantastic Four MCU film was going to be written by Jeff Kaplan and Ian Springer, writers with comedic backgrounds. But according to a report from The Hollywood Reporter, Josh Friedman is now going to be writing the Fantastic Four film, and his background is very different than a comedic background. For example, Josh Friedman wrote Avatar 2, The Way of the Water. He also developed Snowpiercer on TNT. So this is a big shift. It's almost like Marvel Studios got the actual feedback from the fans, they were actually listening, and realized that after Thor Love and Thunder, after Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, that the fans actually do desire kind of deeper movies. Yes, of course, we all love the humor, I especially do, but I also do love the more serious tone as well, and I think this works really great for the Fantastic Four. Yes, the Fantastic Four, of course, can be funny, especially The Thing and Johnny Storm, but this is going to be a very huge movie, and it does need to be done correctly, and it does need to be serious. Perhaps that's why it has taken so long to find the cast for the film. However, according to John Campea, they have already been cast, and they have been cast for a while. Speaking specifically about Reed Richards and Sue Storm, this is what he said on his show at the end of last month.
Reed Richards and Sue Storm have both been cast and have been cast for a while. I'm not going to say much more beyond that. I will just say that the two are already cast and have been cast for a bit. I think for a long time we've believed this isn't going to be an origin story per se. I think we're going to meet the Fantastic Four a little further along the line. Reports that they're already going to be parents, that makes sense with where my thinking's at, so we'll see.
So based off of what John Campea has heard, and keep in mind he was the one who released the pictures of Spider-Man No Way Home. He did it on accident, but still, he's got sources. He says Reed Richards and Sue Storm have been cast, which is very interesting because we haven't heard anything else about who could possibly be playing these two characters. Sure, we have had a lot of casting reports happened recently over the past year or so, but nobody coming out stating that actors have officially been cast. And we're talking about specific actors. Now we'll talk about actors in just a bit. However, Campea goes on to say that he has heard reports that this is not going to be an original origin story like we talked about. And this is what Kevin Feige had to say about that. He said, "A lot of people know this origin story. A lot of people know the basics. How do we take that and bring something that they've never seen before? We've set a very high bar for ourselves with bringing that to the screen." So that's what he said in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter in regards to not doing a traditional origin story with the Fantastic Four. But John Campea says that he's heard reports that they're going to be so along the lines in their development as the Fantastic Four that Sue Storm and Reed Richards are already going to be parents. And this is really, really jumping forward. At least, so we think. Now in the comics, of course, Reed Richards and Sue Storm go on to get married, and this was considered one of the biggest comic book story events of all time. It's also very interesting because the relationship between Sue and Reed started before they had their powers. Reed and Sue were dating when they went on that test flight into space and gained their powers. Eventually they would go on to get married, and like I said, it was a huge event. If we go straight into them being parents, we are essentially skipping all of that. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't have flashbacks, or maybe even do a Disney Plus special after the movie gets released, showing us how they met, how they gained their powers, etc. But I must say it is an interesting choice to have them already be parents. Now, this is just a report for now, it's not necessarily confirmed, because this report has been going around for a while. And it's clear that Marvel Studios didn't really like the way the script was going because they got a new writer. So this could very well not be the case anymore. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against this, but going back to what we said about us having emotional connections and interest and investments in these characters, we kind of need to see how they start off, how they first start dating, when they get married, etc. And you can still do that and still have this not be a traditional origin story. Now, these few reports about Reed and Sue being parents already in the Fantastic Four movie are so well known that we are still hearing from some insiders about how exactly this will work. Even 2 days ago, Alex P. from the Cosmic Circus replied to a tweet stating this: "If anything, them hiring Friedman is to help the family dynamic between the four feel more real and grounded, especially since there's a chance Franklin and Valeria may debut too." Now, Franklin and Valeria are the kids of Sue Storm and Reed Richards, but Alex P. replied stating this: "Might want to place a big pause on Franklin and Valeria. Haven't heard they're in the Fantastic Four specifically. They might show up down the road, but not in this movie." So this is pretty interesting. If they are indeed going to be parents in this film, their kids are going to be probably very, very little, like just born maybe. Because make no mistake, their kids are super important. In fact, their son Franklin Richards is one of the most, if not the most powerful mutant to ever exist in Marvel history. So their children are 100% going to be important. However, they most likely really aren't going to be the focus of the Fantastic Four movie, obviously. They probably will just simply address the fact that they have kids and then go on a mission. If they are already established as the Fantastic Four, then we can probably see them taking on villains. And that would definitely explain why the kids weren't there. You're obviously not taking newborns or very young children to fight bad guys. In fact, in the comics, Agatha Harkness becomes the nanny for their kids. So there are a lot of really big connections that the MCU could make with the Fantastic Four. And it's great news if they have already been cast. I hope we get an announcement soon. Now, the front runner for Sue Storm lately has been Jodie Comer. And she was recently on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, and she was asked if she had heard these rumors and if she had a response to them. And this is what she said. In response to if she's heard the rumors, she said, "I am now, after the last year. No. Guys, I don't know anything about it. I feel like when I say this, people are like, okay. Kind of like, okay, sure." Then she continues to say, "It's like you can't win either way." Even though she did kind of give us a typical response of somebody who could be in the movie but can't say anything. She continues to say, "I think never say never, but right now, no. But I think never say never, right? I think, as I said before, usually when you finish one project, you then want to try something very different. So I don't know, maybe." Now, obviously, we know that even if she were cast as Sue Storm, she could not say anything. Kevin Feige has multiple snipers pointed at so many people anytime they do an interview, or simply just say anything. These actors clearly cannot say if they are cast in a movie. Paul Rudd said he wasn't Ant-Man, and bam, he was Ant-Man. Andrew Garfield stated so many times that he wasn't the werewolf, that he wasn't in Spider-Man No Way Home, and alas, he was. So Jodie Comer still could very well be our Sue Storm. Now, as far as who the rest could be, we really don't know if anybody has been pinned down yet, but of course, if we hear anything, we'll be sure to do an update video. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Fantastic Four, MCU, and DC news. And of course, it also enters you in our giveaway. Please don't forget to like the video, and of course, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.